Welcome to the tutorial on how to handle leads and contacts when they come into your website. So far you've been doing advertising and generating some interest in your site, so we'll assume that you have some traffic coming to your website, and you will have people requesting more information. Now on every page of your site you'll see this link that says request more info. So your prospect would likely click on that link, and this is where they'll be prompted to put their information in this screen. Some of these fields are required, so they can't bypass them. At the bottom, that field actually isn't a required one, so they could leave it blank, but you'd be amazed. Most people do fill out this section, and we love it because they tell us what's important to them. They'll tell us about their family or their work situation or what they're looking for, and it does give us guidance when we make those calls to set appointments. So let's take a look at your members area and see what happens with those leads. Well, the first thing you'll notice if you're not currently subscribed to Home Office Pro is there's a band across the top of your members area that says you're currently using the basic version of the members area. Click here to unlock all of the tools. That would subscribe you to Home Office Pro. Now you get Home Office Pro free for the first 30 days, and then from that point forward it's $14.99 a month, which you can cancel out of at any time. I recommend if you're doing some initial work and getting some interest in traffic to your website that you do sign up for the free trial period of Home Office Pro to give it a good test drive. Then you can decide if you want to keep it or not. So we're going to assume in this tutorial that you have signed up for Home Office Pro. So let's take a look at what your website home page or members page would look like if you have subscribed. So here's another version, and you'll notice that across the top now I see a message that prompts me to synchronize the autoresponders. Now in our admin side of the site we've created instant emails that are available for you to either customize, preset yourself, or you can send the generic ones depending on what the subject is or the contact is with each individual prospect that you have on your site. I'm going to show you what those emails look like. So I would recommend that you synchronize them because you want to download the ones that we've written. You'll notice there's a check mark under the new prospects list, and that's because that's the only ones that we've changed in this particular instance. Other times you'll see check marks in the other boxes, and which means we've made changes to the other emails. So we'll agree and download the new emails. And we get confirmation that the emails have been synchronized. So where would we find our contacts? Well, let's go to our home page dashboard, and you'll see that there's a little box on the right, a yellow box that says My Contacts. So we'll click on that. And this shows all the leads that have come into my website. And you'll notice a few of these names are fun names because we just created some dummy prospects so we could play around with them. You'll notice at the top it says Smart Sort or Date Acquired. The little green button is in the box for Date Acquired. So if I click on Smart Sort, it would actually sort them according to who I've contacted and had some connections with, versus Date Acquired would put them back in the order in which they came into the website. I like Date Acquired, so I'm going to leave it at that. So here we have someone named Georgia Peach. Automatically it shows the first prospect's name in a little window here. I can click on Maximilian, and it's going to show his contact information, or Sammy Smarty Pants, and it will show his contact information. But let's go back to Georgia Peach. Okay. So the first panel in this window tells me the basics about her and where she came from. It doesn't tell us where she found us. I can do that in the survey. So where did she find us? A Mummy's Network site, and maybe that's one I advertised on, so I'd recognize that name. And in the field of Tell Us About Yourself, she says that she's a stay-at-home mom with 2 small boys. She used to work in pharmaceutical sales. She'd love to find something she could do from home. So that gives me some ability to connect with her and relate to her when I call her. So let's go back to her basic information. Now, we don't invite to a presentation by email. Our team always makes that phone call. It's so important to connect with somebody. So I'm going to click the button Connected. I'm picking up the phone, calling, dialing. We're assuming that I'm speaking with her, and I'm having a conversation with her to invite her to a presentation. So the question here is, what was the outcome of my call? Now, I would fill this in just as I'm hanging up, or if you're good at multitasking, you can open this window up while you're making the call. But let's assume the outcome of the call was that we set the appointment. So I'm going to click on that option. And it brings me up a screen with a calendar. And call types, I'm going to make that DWP webcast, and you'll see it immediately fills it in with today's webcast schedule. If I click on tomorrow, it would show me tomorrow's webcast schedule. Let's go back to today. So I would like to invite her to a webcast. We've figured out, now I've got her on the phone, that the 7 o'clock time is best for her. This will be in your time zone, by the way, and you can see that there is a webcast at 7 o'clock Eastern time today. So I'm going to manually put this in, that this is the one I'm inviting her to. Now, she might be in a different time zone, but I'm putting in my time zone. Do I want an email reminder of this? Yeah, email me 30 minutes prior. This reminder is for you, not for the prospect. What's the duration of this presentation? Well, Wayne usually does them in about 45 minutes, so we'll say 45 minutes. Now, what's the action that the system recommends? It recommends an instant email. You can see there's a drop-down list. I can choose something else, but confirming our appointment looks like a pretty good one to me, so I'm going to go with that one. And you'll notice that it's going to automatically move the contact out of the prospect list where she is currently, and see under status, it's going to move her to appointment scheduled. Now, you'll notice under autoresponder, that's changed to contact made. And that's because we have what we call drip emails or autoresponder emails that would go out according to what list they're in. So somebody who you've made contact with would get a different series of emails through the system than somebody who you still hadn't made contact with or was in your prospect list. So we like the fact that she's going to move to appointment schedule because we do have a separate email list for prospects, and if you've already set an appointment with somebody, you don't want them getting these drip emails from the system because they're going to think that's kind of weird. Now, if you want to do a follow-up call, you can schedule that here. You say today, let's say, or maybe this is a reminder for you. Maybe the timing wasn't right for her, and maybe you didn't set the appointment, but she said to call you next week. You know, that's where you stick that in, and the system will remind you to do that. But let's just say none for now because we've actually set our appointment for today. So we'll click on Next. So this is what the email would look like. The subject says confirming our appointment. Now I might want to change that. Let me say I'll change the subject to confirming webcast appointment. Or you can just leave it blank. Now I want to copy myself on this, and it's a BCC, which means that she doesn't see the copy. And it's a nice idea to copy yourself on all the messages. That way you can save them in your server and sort them and organize them and remind you of who may have missed a presentation and who you've still got to follow up with. So you'll see in this window, it looks like it's kind of funky with different symbols, you know, hi, squiggly, squiggly, first name, squiggly, squiggly. That simply means that that field would be filled in with the prospect's name. So I believe her name was Georgia, so it would be, hi, Georgia. I enjoyed speaking with you today. I'm just emailing you to confirm our online appointment. Now, it leaves it blank for the date and time because that's going to change, of course. So our online appointment was Tuesday, January 4th at 7 p.m. EST. And this gives all the other information. You'll notice it even tells her how to log in with G, her name, and her state. And those fields are automatically filled in or populated by the contact's information. You'll notice below it has owner's name, owner's email, phone number, and the website. That is also automatically populated with your information. And you'll see that when you copy yourself on this email. Now you can send this email through this system, or you can select the option to send using My Mail Client. You'll see where my mouse is hovering there to use your email client. So it goes through your Outlook or Outlook Express or whatever email client you use. I do prefer sending it through my server, and that's only because sometimes different systems like Hotmail is notorious for this. They'll reject emails that come through a company or a website like ours because it looks like spam. It looks like an automatically generated email versus something that might come from a real person that would be, you know, your own email server. But for the sake of this tutorial, let's assume you're going to send it through this system. So let's hit complete. Okay. So now if I look on Georgia, you'll notice that her status has changed to appointment scheduled. Now let me show you about how you can take notes for contacts to keep yourself organized. And let's just say that it's Maximilian now that we're contacting. And let's say that I've contacted him. I did leave a message, but there's a little bit more detail in that message. I want to keep track of it so I can keep on track. We'll say left message for wife Mandy. she told me about his arthritis. Let's put a date on that, January 4th. Save notes. Okay, so now if let's say I'm just in and out of my website, I'm looking at somebody else. Let's say I go back to Maximilian, and I've forgotten already that I've had a conversation with his wife. Maybe this is the following week that I'm looking at my contacts. I can look at something called History in the tabs here, and it will show that I put a note there that January 4th, oops, I've got a little typo in there. I spliced in January 4th in the middle of the message, but I get the gist. Left a message January 4th for wife Mandy. She told me about his arthritis. So when I do contact this person, I can reference that I know his wife's name. Again, it's a friendly call about his arthritis. Again, it's warming up to somebody. It's important. This tab for footprints, you see here on this particular contact, it says that he actually has no other footprints except Sunday, January 2nd, which means he came to our website on Sunday, January 2nd. If he came again and again, because every computer has like an ID number to it, then the system recognizes that it's the same person that's come back to the website. So if I see a bunch of different dates, I'm like, wow, this guy's really interested. You know, I've had trouble contacting him, but he's visited our website 5 or 6 times in the last week. I need to call him right away because he's obviously interested. So thanks for listening to our tutorial, and we'll have a few others coming up on how to invite your contacts in person, what to say over the phone to see a presentation. Thanks for taking the time.